how was your experience to meet Tristan Tate?
I not only met Tristan, but I also met like everyone, basically. When we were in Romania, we were doing this thing called the test.
You said on Instagram that bullying helps society.
I'm not saying, okay, go bully these fat people because it's funny, right? I'm saying go bully these fat people so that they can raise their standard.
Now, you also said that if you wear Airpods, you're retarded. So what's up with that?
My ball sacks are getting less high in T just because of the frequencies. $100 a month is cheap as fuck. So probably raise the price.
Maybe that's the next level for you.
Yeah.
Cool. So, GP, nice that you're here. The last time you were in Warsaw, you came straight from Thailand. You went to Monaco while you're here. You were living in Dubai at the time. I've seen you recently in the States. You were in the Trump Tower. You were in LA. And you was in Portugal. You did an event there. Yeah. So you've traveled the whole world. And there's an interesting story behind it as well. Because you decided to leave a full-time management job to work for the Andrew Tate's team.
Yeah.
You were a salesman there. You became a sales manager. You made over 30 million there for their revenue. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of interesting conversations here. Now, my first question to you is, what exactly was like the early stage of your life, and how was the breakthrough from that personal transformation, and what kept you going throughout that time as well?
Okay, so early stages, I'd say I was, living in a pretty traditional nuclear family, but the surrounding area was not really the best, right? Ultimately, like I was in the hood of Toronto, quote unquote,
right.
And I was mostly like a loner because I didn't want to get myself into any trouble, right? So I was quite alone in the beginning stages of my life, but ultimately what broke everything was when I was in university and the whole pandemic shit happened, and I was like, this is like bullshit. Like I don't want to live this kind of direction in life. Like I was on track to becoming like an engineer, following my dad's steps, things of that sort. I didn't want to do that. And I ultimately made a realization when I was in bed watching some bullshit business teacher tell me about business when they're making like $60K a year. I'm like, I would never listen to advice from this kind of guy. So I ended up dropping out and things just started. And I dropped out of university before I even had the next thing happening. Right. So I dropped out. I was like, fuck it. And on top of that, they were giving me some issues with me not being vaccinated, all this kind of stuff. So I just left. Right. I left and then I went networking. I found the first opportunity, got into the 9-to-5, tested out the 9-to-5. And then after that, ultimately realized that the whole 9-to-5 bullshit makes no sense. Right. They want to make sure that you have a bit of money to be comfortable, but not enough to be able to leave that system. Right. So that's what really happened. And then I moved into sales with Tate, and then now I operate my own business. So it's a lot of fun.
Interesting stuff, man. And I think personally, like the sooner you have that transformation, the better. Because for me personally, when I went to college, I was like, okay, cool. I'll just go to college, but I know eventually I have to do something else. But then throughout my first year, I was like, man, what am I doing? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So I just dropped out and instantly went there. So I think that acceleration has been like a great boost as well. Now, at the moment you have your community peak state, and I want you to describe like what exactly does that peak state look like?
Peak state ultimately means that I acknowledge that not only the business shit is important, everything matters, right? So it's your network, it is your health, and it is your finances, right? And so what a lot of people like to forget about is your health and your network, and just focus on the money nonstop.
Right.
Ask you a question, why is there so many guys that have been in self-improvements for such a long time, but they've gotten no results at all? They've been hopping between business model, working on themselves since 2020. It's fucking 2024 right now.
Right.
Why are they not wealthy as fuck? It's because they have forgotten two key pivotal things that they need to have in life, which is their health and which is also a network. You can't even realize how many times my previous sales manager, when I was working for Tate, would talk to me more about my health than talk to me about sales and how to actually perform and close better. It's more about being dialed and efficient on your health so that you can be extremely efficient when you're working. On top of that, having people that you can relate to and people that will pull you up on both ends so that you can kind of like remove all the fluff And someone can be doing self-improvement for like 10 years,
Right.
right? But if you remove the fluff, you can really condense that shit in like 2 years, right? And become the man much quicker if you are at peak state.
Yeah.
So peak state is not only the name of my product, but it's really the epitome of like what I believe in. It's like I want to be at peak state in every single metric. I want to be at peak state in terms of my health, in terms of my finances, in terms of my network, and what peak state is putting other people that are getting to that peak state or are at that peak state together so that we can continue to grow nonstop.
Right. And I've seen you use this platform, school, right now to build that community. Why specifically are you going for school?
Yeah, I feel like I'm early to most of the trends always, but I think that school is a great platform, and there's not many platforms out there that have properly done it to help online teachers, online coaches that actually know what they're talking about to facilitate this whole thing. And what Alex Hormozi, Sam Ovens have done has been so much better than whatever other software SaaS that is found out there. It's almost like the new social media of education, right? Because if you actually think about it, knowing that the university system, the educational system is bullshit, right? Most of the systems that teach you, they have an agenda in their own minds. Where I see education moving is more where someone, they know that they want to be this kind of character, right? So they're going to find that character online and they're going to start learning from that character online. With school allows a platform for those mentors, for those people that have the idealistic lifestyle that some people want to have so that they can deliver proper high quality education, right? Back in the day, well, if you wanted to start a course or if you want us to start a community, it would be so complicated. Like you go Discord, bullshit. Oh, there's gamers everywhere over there. Oh, you start, I don't know, a Telegram group. Like it's not it's much harder if you run on those platforms versus school. Right. So that's why I'm early to school. And I feel like I've been early to so many things like Telegram channels, a bunch of those different other stuff like even Tate and everything. I know for a fact that school is going to be like a huge platform, new social media of education. And from the fact that not only the educational industry is growing, there's more education that is needed in business more than ever.
Yep.
And the right kind of education that I know for a fact school is going to be huge. But yeah.
I completely agree. And I'm glad to bring up the education because I was watching like a video of Tai Lopez and he said as well, like, there's people going to college, university to study an English degree while they're speaking English their whole life. They pay $60K and like, what are you doing, right? So having these opportunities online to just grab all kinds of information is so valuable. And you're able to position yourself in a certain way where you're actually sharing your own piece of information and people can learn from that. So I've seen you putting out a lot of stuff, so that's amazing. Now, I want to talk about the health over hustle as well because you introduced me to nose strips. When we were in Dubai, you gave me this nose strap and you were like, just put it on when you go to sleep. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll just put it on. And I actually noticed like I could just breathe better or breathe more, whatever it is. And you also spoke about 25 to 50% of the people are mouth breathers. So what exactly does this mean? And can you tell us more about this as well?
So this is a small hack that I normally have, but based on the food that we eat on a daily, right? 100 years ago, 200 years ago, we used to eat food that was much more tough. Right now we have fucking artificial bullshit food that's literally like super soft. Make sure that we don't need to have put that much effort into eating. Most people, they breathe from the mouth because food is much more soft and also like air quality has gone down, things of that sort, which led people to breathe from the mouth. Normally we are nose breathers. And when you breathe from the nose, your jawline is sharp. You look much more attractive actually. And that's why this whole mewing, looks maxing thing has came into place online. But ultimately, I started using nose strips because I had a deviated septum. And that kind of like annoyed me for a really long time in my life. And people would always ask me, hey, JP, why are you breathing so loud? It's not that I was breathing so loud. It's because I have fucking shit in my nose all the time that's blocking my sinuses. And it's just annoying. So the nose strips, I started the nose strips trend like a year ago. And then recently all these business guys want to go and have some nose strips and shit. All right, cool. No problem. I was actually going to start an e-com, but then it blew up. So I just decided to do affiliates. But But with nose strips, it's a small thing that you can do to intentionally work on your health, right? A small 20% increase in oxygen towards yourself will allow you to perform 20% better in your businesses, right? And so, of course, that is something that will probably help you a lot to be more efficient, right? As I also said that, like, if you had more oxygen, most people, the reason why they have diseases and sicknesses and all this bullshit is because they don't actually have proper amount of oxygen levels in their body. They're not actually breathing properly, right? You're either dehydrated or you don't have enough oxygen in you. And I do this like every day. Last night I was doing Wim Hof breathing that allowed me to like fill up my whole body with oxygen. Went to sleep. I fucking crashed to sleep because I was oxygenated. So yeah.
That is so powerful, man. And they don't teach you this at school, you know. So it's very information. So you've been in Dubai for a very long time. Now I want to ask you, how do you see yourself, if any, living there for a long term? Because what I noticed in Dubai is that the air quality is far less than, for example, here in Europe. So how does this relate to that as well, and what does that mean to you?
So I initially went to Dubai just to meet with the Tates and meet with some of my friends and things of that sort. But ultimately, Dubai is great for business. It's great for networking, but it's not good for health, right? And so especially if you're making online money, why would you need to be in Dubai if you can be in a place in Eastern Europe or in Western Europe or in Thailand? I don't really like Thailand, to be honest. But be in some other places that have kind of like elevated health kind of levels, elevated health shit, right? So there's cleaner air, there's better food, and it's also not like crazy expensive for no reason. Like you have some person in Dubai that's serving your food, their wage is like $1 an hour. Why is the fucking food like $100? Like it doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to make fun of the workers, whatever it is. It's just like it does not make sense. And it does also, because I was raised in Canada, it doesn't feel like home, right? If you look at this whole concept, I got a 1-year apartment in Dubai, and I only stayed there for 2 months for me to realize that I had to leave. I paid for the full fucking year. I stayed there for 2 months. I just left because I didn't like it. But there's a difference between a house and a home, right? And a home is more like some cozy vibes, right? Cozy, maybe have a girl with you, maybe you have your parents with you. It feels like not only it's just like a box, but it's also a place where you can get deep work done and you feel much better in terms of that social element. In Dubai, I just bought like a fucking box. I bought a box in a huge tower, and it didn't feel real. It felt very artificial. I would take a lot of runs with my friend Hamza, and Hamza's like, he's a beast, bro. He's a Moroccan guy, ripped as fuck. And we would go every single morning to take a run at 6 a.m. And bro, I would take runs in Dubai, and the air quality, even in the morning, was so shit that I would run and my brain would feel so foggy. For like 2-3 months, my brain was feeling super foggy. My pores were like clogged up all the time. I just did not enjoy it. It's not that I'm shitting on Dubai. It's not that it's not a good place. It's a beautiful place. It's a great place for networking, for money, things of that sort. I did not necessarily need the network. I already had the network. I already had the money. I wanted to elevate my health levels that would actually help me increase that money level, right? Because there's a point in life where you can do the maximum amount of hustle, right? When you get into business, it's all about hustle in the beginning to get to like 50K a month, 100K a month, right? It's all a matter of sales or marketing, things of that sort. But then what takes you from 100 to 200 to 300 and further on is smart work. And you can't do smart work and learn how to do those right systems and things of that sort if you're not dialed on your health. Because smart work also connects to being like an efficient human. And it's not about hustling. In the beginning, it's about hustling, but later on, it's about working smart, having a good network of people that will help you do those right business decisions that will lead you to increasing income by whatever amount.
Yeah, powerful information, man. So one thing I noticed when I try to analyze you online, I see that you're super big on branding yourself and marketing yourself. when we were in Dubai, you hosted this event for the Access Club. Super great event. We had killer workouts, interesting workshops. And you spoke about personal branding. You zoomed into Instagram a lot. And I want to, for everybody's watching, to kind of drop the secret sauce when it comes to like maximizing your Instagram.
Yeah, so maximizing your IG. Honestly, if you have a good IG, you have money forever. If you know how to sell and you know how to market, you have a cult following audience of people that have seen you on a daily all the time. That ultimately leads to you having extremely warm leads, right? And people don't actually realize this, but your IG is basically a way of getting leads, right? You get leads and then they go on your profile. They get catered on a daily from your posts and your stories. So every day you can speak to your leads nonstop. I've got like either 2,000 to 5,000 people checking my stories on a daily nonstop, learning about me nonstop, right? And so those leads, they get extremely warm. You tell them to send you a message on DMs. This is the only opportunity you really have online to do so. Whereas you can then DM them and then call them directly on the platform and close them on some kind of deal, right? So IG personally is the easiest way you can, number one, gain an audience, build a cult following audience from that, and from that cult following audience, data collect on that audience, right? So ask with the polls and things of that sort. Find their problems, find their issues, and prescribe a solution to that on a call or on DMs. So it's actually quite easy to make money on IG. You just need to have the right kind of profile with the right social proof, right? In terms of like giving advice on how your profile should look like you should be a retard to think that having 0 pictures is a smart thing to do, right? At least have some pictures. But of course, you want to have some pictures that give a degree of respect to you, right? So instead of having a picture of you in a shitty outfit with no muscles on, how about you hit the gym, take some pictures, and then you can start building that brand image, right? That brand identity. If you've taken a picture with you and a chick, or you and this thing, that means that you're connecting that specific thing with you, which adds to your brand identity. So think about some things that you want to connect with, right? I love supercars, right? And so this is something that I did on my IG profile. All I did was add supercars everywhere because I just loved cars. I also love Porsche GT3s. So I kept adding Porsche GT3s everywhere. But yeah, that's just a way of building your brand identity. Figure out like what are things that you want to be known for, and then adding those things on your profile. If you want to be known for being jacked and successful and things of that sort, figure out what the success look like to you and then just do that thing, because no one's going to follow you. No one's going to want to listen to what you have to say unless you have some level of receipts. And most people do have receipts. They just don't show them. There are some guys, I remember back in Dubai, I sold about 3 50K offers on personal branding. And basically it was to create their brand identity, and from that, help them with their personal brand in some sense. And these guys, some of these guys, one of my friends, he has like 5 garages in the south of France. And he did not show anything. He did not brand anything. He did not show any pictures. He's like, how do I work on my personal brand? Firstly, start taking some pictures and take some pictures properly where you're showing what you're doing on a daily, right? People really want to know what you're doing. And unless you show the people are not going to know that this is the life you're living. Right? Every single day, I've got a sick view in Warsaw. If I didn't take the pictures, people wouldn't know I'm at some sick Airbnb. But
that's so true, man. And I also think when you're actually putting out that content, it's more about just putting it out, right? Like there's a certain degree of standards where you can say, okay, I'm posting this amount of a day, whatever, or I'm using this kind of strategy. But what do you say to people who have this perfection in their mind where they say, I need to do this perfect, rather than just saying, okay, just put it out? Like, what is the strategy, let's say, just to use content creation on Instagram?
Yeah, well, no one has balls to go online and say what they actually think, right? You'll actually be surprised, but most people are just scared. They're scared of the social pressure. They're scared of doing actual things. And if I had to tell you right now, there is a way of tripling to quadrupling to 10xing your business in a matter of weeks versus a matter of months and years. The main thing that I would tell you to do is take advantage of the creator economy, creating content, right? Everyone's fucking consuming on their IG, nonstop scrolling. You're consuming. That's where you're spending most of your time, right? So it's like, how about you flip that, maybe delete Instagram, delete these platforms, and start creating some things and posting them on those platforms versus always thinking about, oh, this way, this perfection way, whatever it is. You know, there is perfection within the imperfection, and it will never be something that is perfect that will be posted online. Nothing will ever be perfect, especially with content, right? Like, there will always be some imperfection, whatever it is, but people find perfection within that imperfection, and it's always it's like a relative statement to say, like, all right, this is a perfect video. No, it's not a perfect video to someone else, right? So if it's good, then post it. This is what my friend Sartol said. He's like, dude, if the video is good, if the content is good, if what was put out there is good, post it. Yeah. Don't look for something perfect. Don't look for something way too perfect that it will allow you to slow down in business, right? So that's the main thing. People are just too scared. Way too scared. It's like, oh, I filmed my first video, right? Okay, good job. You filmed your first video. Now let's do a lot more. But it requires a degree of I don't give a fuck when you are posting on IG, because people care way too much about their profiles. Like, look, actually ask yourself this question. How many times have you, like, who is the person right now that has seen your Instagram story the most? Who? It's yourself. Yep. You are the person that overthinks about what view, what thing, what story you're posting on a daily. You are your main fan. You are your main person. And you have to realize that most people are really just your friends because they probably have some selfish intention, or they probably have something that they can potentially gain from being your friend. They don't actually give a fuck about what your personal brand's doing or whatever it is. So now that you understand that, that's quite a revealing statement. Now that most people actually don't really give any fucks about you, realize that, all right, cool, all these limiting beliefs that I've had about filming, personal branding, doing all this content stuff is really quite pointless because my main fan is myself. Yep. So might as well kind of unleash the full potential of who I could be online. And end of the day, I fucking die in 1 week. Dude, people are going to forget about me. Like, the content's on YouTube, but people are going to forget. Like, I'm going to die, and then 1 day later, everyone's going to forget, right? So might as well do all the crazy shit that you've always wanted to do in life. Yeah. Which is my belief on everything.
That is so true, man. And in general, like, overthinking is such a killer in progress, right? If you think about it, like, when was the last time you actually see somebody do something embarrassment? Like, it just doesn't really come to your mind because you're just always thinking about what people think or whatever. So if you just break through and actually take the action, it's such a good position to be in. Yeah. Now, something I quickly want to say as well about Instagram is, at the mastermind in Dubai, you said that you should just test always. If you put out a story and say, okay, what color do you like what gender are you? You just have that information. And that was something I found super valuable as well. It's just like actually asking your audience as well. And I think a lot of people overthink that as well. They're like, okay, how do we target them the best? Like, how do we hit them the best? But it's also about just figuring out who they are and just asking and connecting with them.
It's like everyone overcomplicates. It's like, oh, how can I target? How did I do this bullshit? Bro, you're using complicated words. It's all a matter of collecting data on your audience and selling shit that they actually need. Right, and which is why all I did was just doing polls, and then I create my product based on those polls. Like, people like to create products knowing shit about their audience. Like, they actually know nothing about their audience, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna create this product. I recently helped my friend Daryl create a new product, and it was specifically targeted to his audience. And so he has like 1 million followers, and we kind of like did some analysis on the thing, and I'm like, wait, okay, so this audience is from this area, this age, this place in the world. How about you speak this language? How about you also do this kind of product? And that will likely be able to target them as well. And then what I want you to do is put a poll on your IG and actually ask if people would need to solve this specific problem, right? And so that then led for us to make a conclusion that people actually need this product, and then boom, sell it. But people make conclusions on like, oh, I should sell this bullshit, even though you don't even know if people are going to buy it. That's why you have shitty releases. Like, you try to sell your product and you sell like one item, and that one item is like your best friend that supported you since day one. No one needs your product, or you're not going to get a best-selling product unless you gather data on the audience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes so much sense. I think it's super underrated. Now, if we're talking about personal branding, social media, one of the most powerful things for me personally is networking. I've been able to meet so much people like just online. I've been able to even meet you through Twitter, right? So I've been able to meet clients, people I've done business with, genuine friends. So you've also have like a very wide network. Now I want to ask you, how was your experience to meet Tristan Tate?
Tristan's cool. I not only met Tristan, but I also met like everyone basically. And that was like 2 occasions, one in Romania and then one in Dubai. But to be honest, the one that highlighted the most, I would say, with Tristan was when we were in Romania. We were doing this thing called the test. And the test was like a boxing match with a bunch of millionaires. And this was the time when Tate was actually getting canceled and things of that sort. And so the experience meeting with him was ultimately, we were doing tons of business, but then when the fight ended up actually finishing, it was like the party at the end, right? Of course, Andrew wasn't there because he's not really into parties anymore. He's trying to abstain from alcohol at that time. Now he doesn't drink alcohol at all. But when I was with Tristan, me and Alex, we bought a bottle of what was it, Black Label or something, and then we brought it to the guys outside, and it was like a competition on drinking. I do not understand how the fuck Tristan can drink so much, but that day was a day that I realized that I'm never gonna drink booze again because I got absolutely obliterated. Like I was actually the most hammered that I've ever been in my life, and I realized, okay, this is what alcohol looks like. How about I stop doing this? Right? That was the moment that I realized why it's like fun to do it, because like I had a lot of fun with them. And I was with like Sterling Cooper and like all the other cool guys. But yeah, no, booze is crazy. But by my experience with Tristan is that Tristan, he's much more of like a relatable and also really a man that you can highly, highly respect, because he actually cares a lot about the way that he dresses, the way that he presents himself in front of other people. And also something that interests me a lot is that he knows a lot about deep history. He knows a lot about deep history. He knows a lot about the history in Russia and things of that sort, which led me to think that not only they're like some online personalities, but they're really like real people that know a lot about the world. Right. So then the follow up of me meeting them in Dubai was great, and just seeing Andrew and some of the workers over there that worked for their company, they're all just really dialed in, and it's just complete respect to them, because even at the night that the boxing match even happened, Andrew and the other guys decided to go to bed versus go and party and stuff like that, even if it was with the guys that even fought. They decided to say, all right, cool, let's get back to sleep and let's get to the next day. So yeah, like honestly, like huge respects to them, because for me it's like extremely clear why they've gone viral and gotten the whole lives that they wanted, because they were very, very strict with how they went with everything, and they really continuously dialed into that daily mindset or those daily outputs. They did those daily KPIs that led to that output that they wanted in life.
Yeah, and did it also shift your beliefs to be able to actually meet those people? Because I assume you kind of looked up to them in some way. Like, did it give you some sort of exposure to new information?
Yeah, ultimately these like influencers and meeting with high-end people and shit like that. I've met Sneeko, I've met like all these famous guys, even Aiden Ross and shit. And it's like, all right, you see them online, and then you kind of like pedestalize them in some sort, and you see these people consistently nonstop online and not even seeing them in real life. When you meet them in real life, you'll realize soon enough that they're just people that really actually work hard, Maybe not Aiden Ross. All he just does is clown shit. But yeah, like ultimately they're just really hard workers and deserve what they've done because they do those daily outputs. Like when I was with Sneeko and Sartorel down in Thailand, Sneeko was filming a podcast and he was streaming, that he was doing this new content. He was doing those outputs that led him to the outcome that he's at. So ultimately, I wish to be in a position like them, and I'm doing those daily things that will lead me there. Yeah, it's that's what it is.
Did it actually inspire you to say, okay, damn, I need to really do more? Like, did
Yeah.
it? Yeah, right.
Big time, bro. Like I see Sneeko and I'm like, shit, fuck. I need to like get my shit together. Like I need to get going. And yeah, Sneeko, he's like a few years older than me. So I've got a bit of time to catch up, but yeah, the pressure's on right now.
Yeah, I love that, man. So for me personally as well, it was like 3 years ago almost. I was just starting out, just dropped out of college, and I was working with some guys in the Netherlands. We had like a meetup, and I was just making my first few K a month online. I was in the car with somebody who has like this Shopify store. He made like 50K a month. And when I saw it, I was like, damn, what the fuck is happening? Like for me, it was unreal at the time. I never saw anybody doing that. I never knew anybody doing that kind of numbers. And when I saw that like a few years ago, it was like a moment where I was like, damn, people are actually making money. Like people are doing something completely else. So I think having those exposure is super powerful.
Yeah, exposure is extremely powerful. Like if you're in Toronto, in the slums of Toronto, how can you be motivated to become a better person? Because all the only reality that you know about is a reality of poverty and fucking bullshit, right? But then I fucking go to Mykonos or like some crazy places in the world and in Monaco, and I see them just flexing nonstop. Just by them living, it's a flex, right? And it's like, all right, why would I accept this reality if I can live this reality? All it requires is a degree of hard work, and you'll get everything that you've always wanted in life. Not only that, you can help the people around you. You can inspire other people. You can do whatever the fuck you want with money, right?
Yeah.
To some degree, I'd say like 150K a month is the level to say, hey, all right, I have unlimited money.
Right.
And so, hey, we need to hit that soon.
Yes. Yeah. So, GP, you said on Instagram that bullying helps society. What is your message to fat
bullying.
people? Yeah. What is like your message to fat people?
Okay, so of course, like this was a joke, and I said this like a year ago, and then my parents called me yesterday, and they're like, "What is this thing that you said online about bullying fat people?" I'm like, "Relax, like I'm just doing like saying a joke." But here's the thing, look, like back. The reason why there are fat people in the world is because they are comfortable with their current standard. Like, look, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, if someone was fat, they were not only probably going to die sooner, they also would not have the chance of being with a husband or a wife, like because they're just ugly. Right. So the reason why there's so many, like, because I went to California, like to be honest, like because it's actually really bad. There's a lot of fucking fat people in America, and the reason why they maintain the fatness that they've got is because they're comfortable with it. And what is the narrative that has gone in the USA, right? Lizzo, a bunch of bullshit saying that being fat is fine, right? It's like, no, you're going to like die a lot earlier if you maintain what you've got going on. You're just eating McDonald's nonstop. And that's the reason why in Eastern Europe you don't see that many fat people, because they actually they actually understand that like if you want to live a long life, if you also want to like be engaged and married and everything, you actually need to look decently attractive at least.
Yep.
But yeah, bullying, I'd say when I was much younger, I was like a chubby guy. Like when I was much younger, and I also always had this like layer of fat on top. And it like made me uncomfortable. And I used to be bullied just because like I was like a bit fatter than the average. And that led me to want to work on myself so much more. So it's like, all right, cool. I'm not saying, okay, go bully these fat people because it's funny, right? I'm saying go bully these fat people so that they can raise their standard, so that they can say, hey, this is shit. I not only want to live a longer life and be more healthy, I also want to like, I don't know, raise my standard.
Yeah.
and stop eating McDonald's. So
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
mean, bullying itself is just a word, right? It's more about the actual accountability and like the reality
Yeah.
check. It's the same as if you have like very good friends, brothers. You just want to be very real with them.
yeah,
It can be about weight, but it can be at so many different things, right? Like for example, why haven't you gone to the gym for fucking 3 days?
yeah,
Like it's just you have to have that some sort of accountability. And I personally think the world has like this weak frame where if you say certain things like this, they just say, well, it's fat phobic. Like, so
Yeah.
it's just the frame of mind.
well, like there's a reason why there's these kind of like frames in mind. It's because there are companies and there's money to be made by making people accept a lower standard for themselves. And by them accepting a lower standard of themselves, that allows them to be much more easily manipulated. You have to realize that after you eat McDonald's, you're much more emotional. You're also much easier to be manipulated by marketing tactics and things of that sort, which leads people to be much less logical, more emotional, and waste all their money on bullshit, right? So making other people fat is just a way of sucking the amount of higher LTV from every single customer. So that's why I would say, like, if you had a guy with high testosterone walking through the streets, he would be much less likely to just throw away all his money, right? He's an alpha man that knows what he's doing. So, yeah, there's a reason why that shit's happening in society.
Yeah. Now, you also said that if you wear AirPods, you're retarded. So what's up with that?
Okay, so hey, like it's not that you're retarded. Again, this is more of me just like going crazy online. But I say, like, if you're wearing AirPods, you're retarded because you don't actually know what's the long-term side effects of having AirPods on. I used to wear AirPods. I used to wear AirPod Pro Maxes and shit like that. But you have to realize that the radiation levels of an AirPod or an AirPod Pro is the same radiation level as you having a router right beside your head, right? So if I had to ask this question, if I had to put a router beside my head with all these brain wavelengths and frequencies and everything, don't you think that will probably inspire some kind of autism or fuck up your brain cells at some point or another? That's why I started wearing wired AirPods, because there's no bullshit happening with those wired AirPods. But when you're wearing AirPod Pros, right? Number one, recently the AirPods Pros were released like 2-3 years ago. It's not been studied on a long-term effects for the side effects and everything for having such high degrees of radiation right beside your brain for such a long time. I'm assuming that in like 100 to like 50 years, a bunch of people are just going to be retarded because they've just been wearing AirPods for such a long time. It's like, dude, common sense, right? I don't need to be a doctor to say this shit, but so much frequency and everything will lead you to probably have some health issues. So when I make assumptions about health, I'm like, all right, back in the day, did the cavemen have this amount of frequencies and radiations beside your head for a long period of time? All right, probably not. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But that's why I believe in biohacking. A lot of people are like, oh, don't do biohacking. No, you should, because there's technology, right? Look at this room. There's like fucking 3 cameras, this thing here, laptops, phones. It's shitting on my testosterone. My ball sacks are getting less high in T just because of the frequencies, right? So you have to combat all of the frequencies and the artificial stuff with biohacking.
Yeah.
So
makes so much sense. And I love the analogy as well of like, what would the caveman do, right?
Yeah.
It's so strong, because if you look at like many years ago or whatever, it's like ages ago, you'll notice that everything was far more simplistic. And it also goes back to when you said that in East Europe, people tend to be less fat, let's say. It's more that things are here also less developed in certain ways.
Yeah.
Like there's less exposure to social media compared to the US, where people are actually, I don't know what it is, I've never been to the US myself yet, but there's definitely like a difference even between West Europe and East Europe, right? So makes so much sense. Now, I want to talk a bit more about the serious thing as well, because I know you're from Canada, and I recently saw news that some sort of thing where people in Canada have to pay like 66% capital gains if they make over 250K. So How do you feel about that? And how do you see this specifically being from Canada as well as having this exposure from all the other countries in the world?
Yeah, so meaning the taxes, why they're so bad.
Yeah.
Well, so look, income tax was only started from countries needing to pay off for the wars and stuff happening, right? And so what happened is that they just kept the income tax, and they're like, all right, might as well just collect this cash and continuously take the hardworking laborers' money versus make sure that they have their own amount of money, right? And so ultimately, Canada just wants to control their people more and more as time goes. And so imagine this as a statement. I want to tell you, because all the politics bullshit is really just stems from this fact. A country is basically like a business. It's basically like a business. And if you know that operating a country requires you to know how to deal with money, you to know how to deal with people, you to know how to make sure people are happy in that country, you need to be really good at business in some sense. And so if you look at Justin Trudeau or some of these politicians in the West or whatever it is, these guys, they've been raised in families that come from politics. They've been raised in families that was like dealt in like the arts industry and bullshit. These guys don't know anything about business. So if I had to take someone that's retarded at business, does not know how to use money, they're just splurging money nonstop, it requires a degree of expertise in life to be good at managing a country, right? If you're managing a country, you're managing a lot of money, right? And so that's why I believe in what Trump's doing, because Trump built an $8 billion business himself in the American system. What did Biden do? What the fuck did Biden do? What did he do? Just like enter into the White House, and all he's doing is just like using taxpayers' money, sending it down to Ukraine and washing it. I don't want to get too political, but they're doing bullshit, right? So when you're managing a country, what you're doing is dealing with a lot of money and knowing how to funnel that money in ways that will help the people be more happy or much more fulfilled about that country operating. The reason why Western countries are all operating in such a shit level is because, number one, there's no religion. Because the politicians that are in power, they don't have standards, they don't have morals for them to say, hey, there's someone above me right now that will judge me one time, will judge me when I die. And if I fuck over the whole entire society in Canada, or if I fuck over all of my people, it's fine that I do it. If you had religion, that would be different, which is why I respect Dubai a lot, which is why I respect UAE as well as Eastern European, because they actually have religion in some sense. If I was to say bullshit about Christianity, if I was walking in the streets in Poland, people would say, no, you should not say that. Like, and they have standards in some sense. Yep. For Canada trying to say, hey, I'm going to take 60% of your income, number one, what tells me that you can take 60% of my income? Like, I'm looking at this as a business, right? And if I had to get a partner and that partner would join me in a venture in my business, but he would not do shit. He would not do anything. He would make my life more worse, more frustrating, no benefits, free healthcare, but there's 2, 3, 4, 5 hour long lines to actually fix a cast. At one point, I broke my leg, right? I broke my leg. I was waiting 2-3 hours just for them to even see my fucking leg, right? So imagine you were operating a business and you added a silent partner, and that partner did nothing and said, hey, I'm going to take 60% of your income. I'm going to take 60% of the business just because I'm alive, right? That's what the whole political system looks like right now, right? You're in California. It's much better than Canada in some sense. But in California, they're taking like 50% of your income for what? What are they giving? Yep. Like, what the fuck are they actually helping you with versus showing you more homeless people on the streets and giving you more traffic, right? That's it. Which is why I'm like, you should never be loyal to a country, especially with globalization now. You should only go to the places that treat you best. And if the place treats you best, then you want to reward those governments that actually give a fuck about their people. If you're in Canada right now, you have to get the fuck out of Canada, especially for younger guys thinking that they're going to start a business. Canada's number one going to take all your data, control your information. They're also going to take all your income, make sure that for a fact you can't operate a capitally efficient business, and from there, like just put you into the 9-to-5 slave force, which is the direction which most Canadians are going for. I'll say the U.S. is much better of a place, but Canada is a shithole. Canada, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, those places, they're fucked. Yeah. Absolutely fucked.
I completely agree, man. The tax system is just a scam, man. Because when I was operating my Belgium as like self-employed in Belgium when I started out, and I had to pay so many taxes. If I count it up totally with all the social insurance and the taxes, it comes down to anywhere between like 50 to almost 60%.
Yeah.
So like, how is this real, right? So.
Yeah.
And on this topic as well, I actually saw a video of you where you said that, you know, houses these days are so fucking expensive. You just need like 1 to 2 million to just buy a house.
Yeah.
And I agree so much with that, man. My mindset is so big on thinking that I think you need quite a lot of money to actually have a decent life. Like if you look, for example, if you're like a regular job, you work in a factory, whatever, it's hard to almost survive, man. Like I think you need at least $3,000 a month just to have like a comfortable living for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult to achieve if you are in this normal life. So I have no idea how it is like, you know, for normal people, let's say, to break through that. So it's so crazy, man.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that now with our goals in mind, like most men, what do they want to do? They want to raise a family. They want to have good children around them. They want to have a good wife beside them and have a beautiful house. Right. And so for someone to live that kind of existence, what do they need? They need to be a fucking millionaire if they want to actually live that existence. Ultimately, there are places in the world that might be a bit cheaper and things of that sort. But in general terms, you need to be a millionaire to actually do the basic shit that you want to do in life. Yeah. You need to have at least like $30 million, right? Which is TML, which is 30 million liquid, is the level that I would say you've unlocked the abundance that you want in life. But ultimately, with everything raising, taxes, everything getting more expensive, you need to become a millionaire. Honestly, you need to become a millionaire. And how do you do that? You do that by getting out of the system. Like, how the fuck can you be a millionaire if you're doing investment banking in Wall Street? Well, of course, you can do that for 30 years and maybe make $1 million or $2 million. But there's no other quicker way than to get into entrepreneurship, provide value to society, and you can make tons of money much quicker. Here's a cool thing. Most billionaires, they actually raised children, or they had a wife and they actually raised children in their early 20s. They had babies in their early 20s. And so that's something you need to take into account. If you really want to be extremely wealthy, you need to be prepared. You need to get on your shit. And that's why with the billionaires that in large majority got married and also had children, is because they felt that degree of responsibility to provide for other people, right? And so you'll never realize how expensive the world is to be a father until you realize that responsibility. And hopefully this message can tell the young men out there that you need to be fucking rich to raise a family, right? That's the main thing. You need to be rich and you need to have cash flowing.
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship is the best decision to make. Like, honestly, if you look at what the normal way looks like, you have a retirement plan, you have all this security, but in the end, it doesn't really provide you the actual comfortable. Like, you have short money. Like, people have to, especially in the West, you have to have at least 2 incomes to have a house. You need to have man, wife to actually survive. So I think breaking through that and actually taking the risk of saying, okay, I'll just build up my own capital, I'll just generate money, which puts myself and my family safe. I think that's the best thing to do, man.
Yeah.
So
it's much easier to go your own path now than go the path of the traditional system, because not only in the traditional system, they're squeezing everyone all the time. They're fucking squeezing people so that they can not even make a single dollar online or a single dollar for themselves. They're making sure that they have They're right on the edge of paying their mortgage. They're right on the edge of making sure that they can pay their taxes off, shit like that. And so I would say for everyone that's thinking of getting into entrepreneurship, dude, it's more easier than ever, much better of an opportunity window than ever, because you look at the alternative. Number one, you start a business, you make 1K a month. It doesn't even fucking matter. Make 1K a month, set up a business in a zero tax country. You're making that whole 1K for yourself. Imagine you were working a 9-to-5 job and you're making 3K a month, but then they take half of it. Then you have to pay so many bills. Then you have to live in this one specific place. You have to be around these people that you don't want to be with. Like the motivation or what you're getting, like take home end of the day, is so much lower. So that's why I would say to that extent, it's like the risk on going your own path is so much lower than these days nowadays.
I completely agree. And I want to ask the last question to you. What does the next level look like for you?
Next level, so like my next steps.
Yeah.
I would say my plan is to have the largest school group on the platform school. So I want to have the largest school group called Peak State. And the next level really means me having a sick penthouse in Zlota 44, me also having a nice GT3 RS in Warsaw, and having a base. I need to set up a base because I've been traveling way too much. So yeah, that's the plan. Next level for me is just doing that kind of stuff and also impacting the most amount of people. Like just this morning, I had a voice note from a guy, 2 minutes long, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I just recently joined your program, and no bullshit, like it's actually helped me so much. I feel like the ball is rolling." And he paid only $100 a month just to be around that. I'll tell you right now, there's guys with high ticket programs where people that join those high ticket programs, they then join my program and their life changes more than how much money they've spent on a high ticket program. I honestly feel like before you send someone $1,000, $2,000, you should at least test the person and see if they can actually deliver on that product. Yep. Which is why I decided to move to a $100 a month model, because I want people to like see how much I can help others. I can genuinely impact a young man to such a degree that I know for a fact that they can go super far in life, because I've actually lived the life that they are currently living. Like I was living the life. I got out of that life. I learned so much life experience. I've been around so many high class people. For me to say that I can't help a young man go about his journey would be retarded, right? So $100 a month is cheap as fuck. So probably raise the price.
Maybe that's the next level for you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it was a powerful message, man. I appreciate you being here. So thank you as well, and have a great day.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Cheers, bro.
Cool.
See ya.